So here's a clip. This was posted by Jasmine Lane. This is Pierre Poilievre calling out Mark Carney for being what he obviously is, a grifter.
This last December, when Mark Carney was still running Brookfield and economic advisor to Trudeau, he talked about a deal he had worked out where his whole idea was to change government policy and then have Brookfield invest. This was about jet fuel in Texas, where they convinced governments to bring in 10% biofuel by 2030, biofuel being about 80 cents per liter more expensive. So he is both advising, and then his company is signing $1 billion deal to profit. Stephen Debo, Gerald Butts, and Carney's own wife, Diana Fox, is involved in the same kind of consulting. What kind of impact has this kind of way of doing business had on the Canadian people and on the Canadian economy?
Well, it's crony capitalism. It works against these people behind me. Let's just unpack what Mr. Carney did in this particular case. He used his political power to convince the British government to require more expensive jet fuel for air travel. And then his company invested $1 billion in the company that was selling that jet fuel. So if, God forbid, a family like the people behind me here want to take their kids on a vacation somewhere, they have to pay higher airplane ticket prices to fund this more expensive jet fuel so that Mark Carney's $1 billion investment can pay off. Mr. Carney is not a businessman. He is a political grifter who's used his political influence to turn decisions that profit his company at the expense of workers and seniors. And that is exactly how he would govern the country. While he was Justin Trudeau's economic advisor, he went on the record saying that he thought there should be more inflation. He thought it would be good if there was more inflation. Well, it turns out Brookfield, his company, profits from inflation. They get to charge higher rents on their tenants, according to their CEO. So he has used his political influence to rip off workers and seniors. And now, with all the political power of a prime minister, he continues to be invested in the same company, Brookfield, the same company that benefits by raising inflation, by raising energy prices, and by ripping off workers and seniors. Today's announcement is another example of that. How would Mark Carney ever be trusted to make our tax system fair when he's invested in a company that has billions of dollars of cash stashed away in an overseas tax haven? Of course, he never would. We need a prime minister who will put Canada first for a change, who will stand up for lower energy prices, lower taxes, less inflation, bigger paychecks. I've been spending my entire adult life fighting for the people who are here behind me today, fighting for their paychecks, for their quality of life, for their future, to bring home Canada's promise. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that he mentioned that we should have lower taxes, because that is a big key to unlocking the potential of the economy in the first place. But with Mark Carney, okay, so what have we got? What have we got? This steady hand supposedly, Mark Carney, this economic genius, Mark Carney. What is he really going to bring to Canada? Well, let's see, pre being prime minister, using his influence to influence government policy to enrich himself and his company, moving the headquarters of Brookfield to New York City, money stashed in tax havens like Bermuda. What do Canadians expect from this guy? Like, this is not some spotless record with Mark Carney. He's not this paragon of virtue. He seems quite untrustworthy, aside from the fact that he just seems like he just can't stop lying. And let's see, what did he say about, I don't know if this one was a lie or just stupidity, but where he stood in that pub, because he only ever seems to speak at pubs, because it seems like those are the only places he can actually fill up, where he said that the United States gets almost all of its semiconductors from Canada, and a tough guy like him could just stop arriving. And with a tough prime minister like Mark Carney, the actual number is not almost all. It's under 1%. So was that a lie or just stupidity? Unimaginable stupidity. I don't know. Baffling. But in any case, Poilievre says Mark Carney isn't a businessman. He's a political grifter. Mark Carney appears to me to be a guy who he got into the right school and then he got into the right currents and he said the right things. He knew what he was supposed to say and he said it. And I feel like once you get into those currents, into those influence streams, as long as you just keep saying the right things, you can't fail. You fail upwards at that point. And that seems to be his career to me. He left the UK in quite a mess. His Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero was falling apart before he started running for before he was appointed prime minister. I mean, I know they had the leadership race, but let's get serious. That was a walkover. That was just handed to him. He was essentially just appointed prime minister by the establishment forces. So I don't see that he's actually all that accomplished. He seems to have wrecked a lot of stuff, but just can't really seem to fail because he's in the right influence stream. So you just keep winning, even when you're losing. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.